Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week. And if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. Today I'll be teaching how to make a cable stitch halter top. For this halter, we went with a group of twists for a unique texture we haven't done. Carried 2 of those twists up and around for style and moss single everything else, because it looks nice. Speaking of, if you're looking to make something that looks nice, look no further. We have hundreds of modern crochet tutorials and patterns you're sure to love with new patterns weekly, so consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. But either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now it's time to get on the show, so without further ado. For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 230 grams of yarn, and that's 510 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us the longest you've gone without crocheting. I have crocheted every day since I've gotten started for 5 or so years, but this last Christmas I went the whole day without crocheting and it actually felt really weird. Details for the giveaway down below. We're using 4 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and treble crochet. This tutorial is made for a size small, but you can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video. So let's get started. Getting this top started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Next, we're all going to grab our 5mm hook and start off by making a chain that is in multiples of 4, the width of the base of our neck. I need 6 inches or 15 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain 24. So now that we all have our chain, we are all going to do an additional 3 chains, and that's going to be for every size. So there's 1, 2, 3, and now our base chain is finished. Now what we're going to do from here is get started on our first half double crochet row. So block off that last chain and do a chain 2. That chain 2 does not count as a stitch, that is just our turning chain. From here we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the 3rd chain from our hook, pull through for 3 loops on our hook, then yarn over, pull through all 3, and again, yarn over, into that next chain, insert, pull through all 3, and continue with 1 half double crochet into every chain. Our first half double crochet row is finished. Now I have a second half double crochet row to do, so let's all chain 2, flip our work, and just put 1 half double crochet into every stitch. And we should have the same amount of stitches as our previous row. We are back and our row 2 is complete. Now let's all get started on our row 3, or our first cable stitch row. So what we're going to do is we're all going to chain 2 and flip our work. Now what we're going to do is our first cable stitch. It's going to be a small cable stitch, so I'm just going to be calling it a twist, and it's going to start with a set of 2 front post treble crochets. So how to do a treble crochet is we're all going to yarn over twice. Now every cable stitch row is going to be worked into our previous odd number row. So since we're working on row 3, we're going to be inserting our hook into row 1. We're all going to take a look at our row 1 and find that second half double crochet, making sure that we are not counting that chain 2. So since we're not counting that chain 2, here's my first, here's my second half double crochet. I'm now going to insert my hook underneath the body of that half double crochet. So bring your hook down. Remember, skip the first one. Underneath that second half double crochet, insert your hook, pull through. Now we should have 4 loops on our hook. Now we're all just going to yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 1 loop left on our hook. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now like I said, the first 2 stitches in every twist is going to be worked in sets of 2. So since we just did 1 front post treble, into that following stitch we're going to do another front post treble. So yarn over twice again. Into that following stitch from our row 1, insert your hook underneath the body of that half double crochet, through the other side, yarn over, and pull through. And again, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now to get the twist, we're going to be doing another front post treble crochet into that one stitch that we skipped. So yarn over twice, bring your hook down into that first half double crochet that we skipped over, and through the other side. Then yarn over, pull through, again for 4 loops on our hook, then yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 1 loop left on our hook, and our twist is now all finished. Now in between every twist, we're going to have a dividing stitch, which is also going to be a front post treble crochet. So we're going to yarn over twice, and just into that following stitch into our row 1, insert with a front post treble. So bring your hook down underneath that stitch and through the other side, pull through. Then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now all together we should have 1 twist and 1 dividing stitch finished up, and we're going to continue to repeat this all the way down our row. So let's just do our next twist and dividing stitch together again. Yarn over twice. Still looking at our row 1, into that following available stitch, we're going to be skipping that stitch and then putting 1 front post treble crochet into the following 2. So bring your hook down, we're going to skip 1, into that following half double crochet, bring your hook underneath and through the other side, pull through 2, 2, 2, another front post treble crochet into that following stitch, bring your hook underneath, pull through 2, 2, 2, and then to finish off our twist, a front post treble crochet into that stitch that we skipped over. So yarn over twice. Bring our hook down into that skip stitch and through the other side, pull through 2, 2, and 2, and that finishes up our twist. Now to do our dividing stitch, into that following stitch, 1 front post treble. So just bring your hook down into that following stitch, pull through, pull through, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Now all together we should have a twist, dividing stitch, twist, dividing stitch. We're just going to continue to repeat our twist and dividing stitch all the way down until we have 3 stitches left, and then we're going to do our last twist together. So we are back with our twist and dividing stitch, and we should all have 1, 2, 3 stitches left. Now the last stitch that we all should have done should have been our dividing stitch. So now we're going to close off this row with our twist, but since this is along the edge, we're going to finish off that last stitch, combining it with a half double crochet to secure it down. So let's get started. We're all going to yarn over twice, skip that following stitch, which is per usual, it should be our 3rd to last stitch, and then into that following stitch, which is our 2nd to last, insert with 1 front post treble, into that following stitch, which should be the last stitch from our row 1, with another front post treble. And now to finish off our twist, 1 front post treble crochet into that stitch that we skipped over, but we are going to combine it with a half double. So yarn over twice, we're going to work into that skip stitch, bring our hook underneath and through the other side, and pull through. Now we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 2 loops left on our hook. So yarn over, pull through 2 for 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 for 2 loops. Now when we have those 2 loops on our hook, we're all going to yarn over, and we're going to insert our hook into that last stitch from our previous row. So insert, yarn over, and pull through for a total of 4 loops on our hook, then yarn over and pull through all 4, and now our row 3 is complete. Now every even number row is going to be a half double crochet row. So from here, just chain 2, flip your work, and put 1 half double crochet into every stitch. And just as a really quick tip, for this portion, we should have the same amount of stitches for every row. We are back, and our rows 1, 2, 3, and 4 are finished. Now it's going to be a repeat of rows 3 through 4 until we get the length of the top that we need. So let's just get started on the following row just to make sure we all got it down. So chain 2 and flip your work. Now, like I said in one of our previous clips, every cable stitch row is going to be worked into our previous odd number row. So since we're currently working on row 5, we're going to be inserting our hook into row 3, and it's going to be a repeat. So let's all start with a yarn over of 2, preparing for a front post treble crochet. we're all going to skip that first stitch from our previous odd number row or our previous cable stitch row. And this is my first stitch. We're going to skip that one, and then into that following, you may need to separate your work a little bit. We're going to insert our hook into that one. So skip one, underneath that following stitch, bring your hook underneath through the other side, and your front post treble crochet per usual. And then another front post treble crochet into that following stitch, which is this one right here. Yarn over twice, underneath that stitch through the other side, pull through two, two, two. And now that we have those two, now we're going to do our twist. So into that stitch that we skipped over, yarn over twice, bring our hook back into that skip stitch, through the other side, pull through two, two, two. Now our twist for our row 5 is finished. Now we should all have our dividing stitch to do. So yarn over twice. Underneath that stitch, insert your hook and bring it through the other side, pull through, yarn over, pull through two, and pull through two. And that's basically it. We should all have our first twist and dividing stitch finished. Let's just do the next twist and dividing stitch a little bit quicker. Let you do the rest on your own. So let's all yarn over twice. Skip that first stitch from our previous row. Into the next, insert with one front post treble crochet. Into the next with another front post treble crochet. Then another front post treble crochet into that stitch that we skipped for our twist. Then right after that, our dividing stitch, which is another front post treble crochet. Now this is what we should all have so far. We're going to continue to do this, making our way all the way down until we have our last twist left to do, and then I'll meet you back just so I can show you how we're going to close off our rows again. So we've made our way all the way down with our row 5, and we have our last twist to do. It's going to be done exactly the same way as our previous row, so let's just get it started together. We're all going to yarn over twice, skip that following stitch, and then into that next stitch, which should be our second to last stitch, insert with our first front post treble crochet, into that following stitch with another front post treble crochet, and then the last stitch in the row is going to be a front post treble crochet worked into that skip stitch combined with a half double. So yarn over twice. Working back into that stitch that we skipped, pull through two, and once we have those two loops on our hook, we're all going to yarn over. Insert our hook into that last stitch from our previous row, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 4 of those loops. And that's it. Like I said, every even number row is going to be a half double crochet row. So just chain 2, flip our work, and then put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. And that's it. We're going to continue to repeat our 2 previous rows until we get the length of the piece that we want. So placing this first row where we want the bottom of this piece to be, so you can place this either cropped or full length, and just continue this until we get the depth of the collar that we want. So if you'd like to show a little bit more, do fewer rows, or if you'd like to cover a little bit more, do more rows. And I'll meet you back right after an odd number row. We are back, and I have just finished up the height that I need for my middle detail. Now I have a total of 53 rows, and my length is just about 15 inches or 38 centimeters. Now from here we're going to get started on our strap, which is just going to be our last dividing stitch and our twist until we get the length of the strap that we need. So all we're going to do from here, this is going to be the same for every size. We're all going to chain 2, flip our work, and then put 1 half double crochet into the next 4 stitches. The first row of our strap is finished. We have a total of 4 half double crochets. Now let's chain 2 and flip our work. Now for the strap, we're going to extend our dividing stitch and our last twist. So we're going to start our following row with the dividing stitch. Let's all start with a yarn over of 2. That is preparing for front post treble crochet. We're going to find that last dividing stitch from our previous cable stitch row, bring our hook down underneath that stitch, and finish up our dividing stitch. So this is pretty much the same. And then the next one is going to be the same way that we have done our last twist. So as a quick refresher, yarn over twice, skip that following stitch into the stitch right after that one, pull through 2, 2, 2, Another front post treble into that following stitch, yarn over twice, insert, pull through 2, 2, 2, and then a front post treble crochet worked into that stitch that we skipped, but combined with a half double crochet. So pull through 2, pull through 2 until we all have 2 loops left, yarn over into that last stitch from our previous row, pull through all 4, and that's it. All we're going to do from here is chain 2, flip our work, 1 half double crochet into every stitch, which should be 4 stitches for every size, flip our work, and then repeat our 2 previous rows until we have a strap that can reach up to the back of our neck. So placing this last cable stitch row that we have, the depth that we'd like for our neckline to be, we're just going to continue on with these 2 rows until this can stretch all the way up to the back of our neck. And once when you have the length that you need, do a chain up of 1 and cut right after a cable stitch row, and then I'll meet you back so we can get started on the other strap. Alright, so we are back, and I have just finished up the length of my strap. I have a total of 79 rows. My strap length is just about 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters, or my total length is 22.5 inches or 57 centimeters. Now from here, we're going to get started on our other strap. So we're all going to start by flipping our work over so we can look at the back. Now our falling strap is going to be the same for every size again. So what we're going to do is take a look at the left side of our piece, and we're going to be inserting our hook into the 4th stitch from the edge. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go ahead and insert your hook. And we're going to start with a half double crochet row. We're all going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and we're all going to start with a chain 2. Now just for this first half double crochet row, that chain 2 will count as a stitch. And working our way out towards the edge, we're going to be putting 1 half double crochet into every stitch. So we are back, and this first half double crochet row for this strap is finished. Now we should all have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. Now we're going to get started on our following cable stitch row, so let's all chain 2 and flip our work. Now getting started on our first cable stitch row for this side, we're going to start with our twist, and that is going to be per usual. So really quickly, we're going to yarn over twice. Skip that first stitch from our previous cable stitch row, and insert your hook into that next stitch with 1 front post treble, also into that following stitch with another front post treble, and then to finish off our twist, 1 front post treble into that stitch that we skipped. Now the last stitch in this strap is going to be our dividing stitch, which is a front post treble crochet combined with a half double crochet. So it is going to be done the same way that we did the other side, but we aren't going to have to twist it. So we're all going to yarn over. Insert your hook into that following stitch, which should be our dividing stitch. Pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2 until we have 2 loops left on our hook. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we're going to yarn over. Insert your hook into the top of that last stitch from our previous row. Pull through for 4 loops, then yarn over. Pull through all 4. We're just closing it off to secure it down, and all we're going to do is chain 2, flip our work, and put 1 half double crochet into every stitch, remembering that now the chain 2 at the beginning of every half double crochet row does not count as a stitch. And we're going to continue to repeat these rows until we have the same amount of rows as the first strap portion that we did. Once when we do a chain up of 1 and cut. Alright, so now that both of our straps are all finished up, we're now ready to seam it together. So first things first, we're going to need to make sure that our work is flipped wrong side out, meaning the cable stitch detail that we have for the straps is facing each other because we want this seam to be along the inside. Then what we're going to do is insert our hook into the top corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Then we can insert our yarn onto our hook. We're then going to pull our hook through, do a chain up of 1 to secure, then we're going to do a single crochet seam, working in through both the front and the back panel at the same time. So let's all start by finding that first available stitch into the front panel, insert, first available stitch into the back panel, insert, and single. Let's just do another. Into that first stitch into the front panel, insert, first stitch into the back panel, insert, and single. And we're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into, and when we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut. Alright, we are back. We have just seamed up our straps, and now we're ready to get started on our underarm portion for the front panel. As y'all can see, I already have one all finished up, but it's going to be done exactly the same way on both sides, so let's get this side started. So what we're first going to do is insert our hook into the top stitch that we have on one side of our straps, so just into that last side row that I have, that's nearest to our strap seam. And from here, we're just going to alternate between 1 to 2 single crochets, making our way all the way down. So all we're going to do is insert our yarn onto your hook, pull through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. And all we're going to do is find our first side row, this is mine right here, and insert in through there and do just 1 single crochet. Now this is my following side row right over here. I'm going to find that top loop and insert with 2 single crochets. So there's 1 and then there's 2. And we're going to continue doing this, making our way all the way down. And just as a really quick tip, this single crochet row all the way from the top of the strap down to the bottom needs to end on an even number of stitches. So if you're like me and you make your way all the way down and you just so happen to end on an odd number, you're just going to be inserting 1 extra single crochet into that last side row. If you end on an even number, then you are good to go. But either way, I'll meet you back at the end of this row. So we are back, and our first single crochet row preparing us for our underarm is all finished. Now from here, we're all going to need to insert our stitch marker into an even numbered stitch from the top, roughly at about mid-chest. Now this stitch marker placement may vary from size and your desired fit. So just as some really quick tips, we want there to be a slight curve from our underarm portion to slant downwards until it reaches underneath our underarm, and then we can work around, forming our back panel. I've actually found that starting at mid-chest is a pretty good universal place to start the curve for the underarm, but if once when you have your last underarm row, it's a little too high or too low underneath your underarm, I'd suggest that it should be roughly about 1 inch underneath our underarm. Go ahead and adjust your stitch marker either higher or lower, whatever you guys need, and then continue on with the underarm portion. So for those of you that want my numbers, I've actually inserted my stitch marker into the 32nd stitch from the top. That's roughly 8 inches or 20 centimeters. And now we can get started on our underarm panel. And for everyone, it's going to start with a single crochet row. So from where we're at along the bottom, chain 1 and flip your work. So this first row is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to be putting 1 single crochet into every stitch until we're 3 stitches before our stitch marker. So just do the first one, insert your hook into that top loop with a single crochet. And that's it. I'll meet you back when we have 3 stitches right before our stitch marker left. So I'm back, and we've made our way all the way up with our single crochet row, and we should all have 1, 2, 3 stitches left right before our stitch marker. And now we're all going to do a decrease of 3 half double crochets. So we're all going to start by inserting our hook into that following stitch, which is our third to last stitch, pull through into the stitch right after that, which is the second to last, pull through, and then into that last, pull through for 4 loops on our hook, then yarn over and pull through all 4. Now the following 2 rows are going to be moss stitch rows. So getting started on the following row, we're all going to chain 1. That's going to count as our turning chain. And then chain a second chain. That's going to count as a chain. When we have those 2 chains, let's all flip our work. So what we're all going to do is skip that first stitch. And then into that following, insert with a single crochet. So insert, pull through 2. That forms our first 2 stitches for this row. That first stitch is that chain space. You may need to pull it apart a little bit. And then that second stitch is that single crochet. Let's do this again. We're going to chain 1, skip a stitch, and then into the following, insert with a single. So now we should have our first chain space, our first single crochet, our second chain space, our second single crochet. And we're just going to continue to chain 1, skip a stitch, and then single crochet till we reach the end of the row. The last stitch that everyone should have, no matter what size we're making, should be a single crochet, because our previous single crochet row, including that decrease that we did, should have all ended on an even number. Alright, so we have just made our way all the way down with our first moss stitch row. It's kind of hard to see, but these are our chain spaces, single crochet, chain space, single crochet. And now we're going to get started on our following moss stitch row. So getting started, for every moss stitch row, we're all going to start with a chain 2. That first chain is going to count as our turning chain. That second chain is going to count as our chain. And when we have our chain 2, let's all flip our work. Now this moss stitch row is going to be done the same exact way as our previous row. So we're all going to skip that first stitch and then single crochet into that following stitch. Now that first stitch is the single crochet from our previous row, so we're going to be skipping that one. And then we're going to be single crocheting into that following stitch, which is our chain space. So we're going to skip 1 into that following stitch, which is our chain space, insert with a single crochet, and now we have our first 2 stitches for this row, which is that chain space, and then that single crochet. Again, chain 1, skip a stitch, which is the single crochet from our previous row, and then into that following, insert with a single crochet, and it should be worked into that chain space. Once more, chain 1, skip a stitch, into that following stitch, which is our chain space, a single crochet. And we're going to continue on with this row, making our way all the way down. And as a quick tip, we should have the same amount of stitches as our previous row. Alright, so we are back, and we are almost finished up with our second moss stitch row. Now I just wanted to meet you back before we closed off this row, because that last chain space from our previous row could be a little tough to work into. So just to show you guys, this is my second to last chain space. This is my single crochet. The last stitch from every moss stitch row that you should be working into should be a chain space, and as you guys can see, it kind of just looks like a cluster. But go ahead and just insert your hook and pull it apart. But that is a chain space in there. That's the first chain space that we made getting started on our previous moss stitch row. So just single crochet into there. And now we should have the same amount of stitches as our previous moss stitch row. Now for this underarm portion, our row sequence is going to be a single crochet row and 2 moss stitch rows. So since we just finished up, we're going to start repeating again. So getting started on this following single crochet row, we are getting started with it along the top. So since we're along the top, we're going to start with a decrease of 3 single crochets. Now depending on which row you're working on, sometimes your single crochets can end on a decrease or start on a decrease, but that's only because we have a 3-row repeat. So just getting started on this following row, we're going to chain 1 and flip our work. Now the single crochet row is pretty simple. We're going to insert our hook into that first stitch, pull through, next stitch, which is a chain space, pull through and into that following stitch, pull through for 4 loops on our hook, then yarn over, pull through all 4, and then put 1 single crochet into every stitch and chain space. So it's pretty simple. Just find that next stitch, which should be a chain space, with a single. Next stitch should be a single now, with another single. And that's it. We are now going to continue to repeat our 1 single crochet row, where we do a decrease along the top, and then 2 moss stitch rows right after that. We're going to continue on with these rows until we have an underarm portion that can reach over to mid underarm, making sure that we're placing our cable stitch detail at mid chest. I will meet you back right after our second moss stitch row, and then we can get started on the back. Alright, so I am back and I have just finished up my underarm portion. I have a total of 10 rows, that is including my first single crochet row, and this width that I have is roughly 2 inches or 5 centimeters, or my total width that I have is 9 inches or 23 centimeters. We're going to pretend that I don't have this one already finished. But once we have the width that we need our underarm portion to be, we're going to do a chain up of 1 uncut for that first underarm portion. Then we're going to start the second one the same way that we started off the first one. So we're going to start with our single crochet row coming from the top, and then we're going to be inserting our stitch marker into the same amount of stitches from the top, and then it's just going to be a complete repeat. So every single crochet row is going to have a decrease of 3 along the top, followed by 2 moss stitch rows. And we're going to continue that until we have the same amount of rows as our first underarm portion. But for the second side, the side that I'm currently working on, we do not need to do a chain up of 1 and cut, because from here we can just work straight into the back from there. So once when you have your second portion already finished up, our last row should have been our second moss stitch row. All we are going to do is chain 1, flip our work, put 1 single crochet into every stitch for our repeat of our single crochet row, and then repeat that 3-row repeat with no increases and no decreases until the back panel can reach all the way around our back to the other underarm portion that we have, and we must end right after a single crochet row. So I'm just going to get started on the first back panel row with you. So from where I'm at, I'm going to chain 1 and flip my work. We're just going to do the following row in our row sequence, which is a single crochet row. So just find that first stitch and insert with a single, that next stitch, which is a chain space, a single. So no more increases and no more decreases. And I will also be inserting a stitch marker into the top of this first single crochet row for the back panel, just so I know where the back panel starts. And just continue on with this until we have the back panel width that we need. I'll meet you back once I have mine already finished up, and then we can seam everything together. Alright, so we are back and we have just made our way all the way around with our back panel. Counting from my first back row, which is this stitch marker row right here, I have a total of 55 rows, and that's just about 12.5 inches or 32 centimeters unstretched. Now from here, we're just going to seam it together to the other underarm portion we have within the front panel. So let's just fold our back panel on top of our front panel, making sure that the cable stitch detail that we have is along the inside. Because this is going to be a single crochet seam, we want the seam to be along the inside. Now that we have folded our work in half, we're now ready to do our single crochet seam. So just insert your hook into the corner stitch of the front panel and into the corner stitch of the back panel, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through everything. And now let's start by finding that first available stitch into the front panel, insert into that loop, into that next available stitch into the back panel, insert into that loop, and single crochet. Let's do this one more time. Next stitch into the front panel, insert, next stitch into the back panel, insert, and single. And we're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut. So now that our front and back panel are sewn together, we're now just going to clean everything up. So we're all going to start by cleaning up our neckline. So how that's going to work is we're going to make sure the work is flipped right side out, right side up now, and we're going to be inserting our hook into the side row that we have that's nearest to our strap seam. And then from here, we're just going to single crochet all the way down and around. So this is going to be pretty simple. I'm just going to talk you guys through it. We are going to be alternating between 1 to 2 single crochets into every side row. Once we reach the neckline portion, we have regular stitches to work into, so just 1 single crochet into each of those. Then again, alternate between 1 to 2 single crochets into every side row again. Then slip stitch into that chain space. So our single crochet row along our neckline is finished. Now we're just going to clean up the back. So let's flip our work over. Now we're going to be single crocheting across the top of the underarm and the back panel. We are not going to be single crocheting into the strap because, as you guys can see, there's already a single crochet row there, and we don't want to expand the strap. So we're all going to start by inserting our hook into that first available stitch that we have that's into the strap, and then we're going to work into all of our side rows. So this is my first available stitch that I have right here. Insert your hook into that stitch, and now we just have a bunch of side rows. So just put 1 single crochet into every side row that we have, making our way all the way around. And then once we don't have any more side rows left to work into, slip stitch into that next available stitch into the base. Then do a chain up of 1 and cut. Alright, so we have just finished up single crocheting across the top of our back panel and underarms, and we are all done. Last thing we're going to have to do is just weave in all of our ends. And there you have it. Hope y'all enjoyed the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye!